They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling and trying to catch me riding dirty, 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 trying to catch me. Activate terraforming. Welcome custom card fans, my name is Aurora and I'm here to present Archetype Spotlight. This ongoing series will see a spotlight shined on some of the hundreds of custom strategies, archetypes and support that you can find on the server. We'll explore the beloved and the forgotten, the barely viable and the meta-defining, the decks that make EXU, well, EXU. In this installment of Archetype Spotlight, we'll take a look at a deck that's recently been gaining traction as a player favourite since its introduction to the server only a few weeks ago. This is Kragon's Mortal Engine. Mortal Engine is a deck that, on the surface, seems relatively similar to Paleozoic. The deck has no main deck monsters, instead relying on field spells that can summon themselves as monsters when they're sent from the field zone to the graveyard. Unlike Paleozoic, Mortal Engine changes a few things. They activate to summon themselves when sent from the field to the graveyard, not if another field spell is activated while they're in the graveyard. This is a natural trade-off for staying power. By being spell cards, the deck is a lot faster, though with this crucial difference lacks an ability to continually and easily summon resources further into the game. The main way to use your Mortal Engine's monsters, however, is for Xyz summons, same as Paleo's. Their boss monster has an effect a little like a Therion's monster, as it can detach a field spell to use its effect, much like how the Therion's monsters equip monsters from their graveyard to them to gain their effects. As can be expected, there is very little in terms of competitive information for a deck that's only been available for a few weeks. It has no Battlegrounds tops yet under its belt, though Kragon did finish the most recent ladder season in second place, piloting this deck in a number of matches to a roughly 70% win rate. These numbers speak for themselves, showing the versatility and strategy present in the Mortal Engine deck. The deck's most favourable matchups are against combo decks, as it has access to strong stun tools that it can play under. However, it struggles against grindier decks that can outrun it in the long game. Anti-Spell Fragrance and Goes and Match in particular are strong tools that can stop Mortal Engine in its tracks. Now, let's take a look at a deck list. This is Kragon's 42 card Mortal Engine list, primed for going first. Let's start off with the Mortal Engine cards. Barrage of the Mortal Engines allows you to destroy a Mortal Engine field spell to draw 2 cards, while Assault of the Mortal Engines is similar to Ghost Trick Renovation, destroying a Mortal Engine field spell to activate any other field spell from the deck. 3 copies of Barrage gives the deck more consistency, as we're playing almost all of the Mortal Engine field spells at 3, whereas Assault is searchable if needs be, though it does give access to the Generator engine, therefore 1 is fine. The Mortal Engine field spells are where the deck really gains its power. Each of them have a passive effect, a trigger effect during the main phase, and can summon themselves as normal monsters if sent from the field zone to the graveyard. While normal monsters, they are machines of various attributes, have 2300 attack and 2400 defense, and can't attack if you don't control a field spell. In addition, you can't activate normal summon monsters' effects during the same turn you summon a Mortal Engine field spell as a monster. First is the Water Mortal Engine Frigosta, which stops Mortal Engines from being destroyed by battle, and can add a Mortal Engine field spell from the deck to the hand during the main phase. Due to being the deck's primary rotor, it's incredibly important to see. Playing any less than 3 would be foolish. After that is the Light Mortal Engine Alma, one of our only recovery options. Any monster attacked by a Mortal Engine card that is banished while Alma is up, and it can once per turn shuffle 3 Mortal Engines from the graveyard into the deck to draw a card. Mortal Engine has a very aggressive playstyle, and as such, this kind of slow recovery is more of an afterthought. This one is played for the names, and that's why it's at 2. The Wind Mortal Engine Altair gives all Mortal Engines a 500/500 boost, and can once per turn add a Mortal Engine field spell from the graveyard to the hand. From turn 3 and onwards, being able to directly recover any Mortal Engine cards in the graveyard becomes a lot more powerful, as you can choose which ones are best for the situation. The Fire Mortal Engine Geardry protects Mortal Engines from being destroyed by card effects, and has a Volcasaurus-like effect once per turn, destroying a monster and burning for half of its attack. Similarly, the Dark Mortal Engine Nazara protects Mortal Engines from being targeted by card effects, and can destroy a spell or trap once per turn. These are your in-archetypal options for removal, and as such, running 3 of each is imperative. The final Mortal Engine field spell is the Earth Mortal Engine Sigidra, which has an orchestrated babble effect for Mortal Engine monsters and can once per turn banish a card from either graveyard. Kragon is a particular fan of graveyard control effects, so it's no surprise that this is being played at 3. In addition, its babble-like effect makes it particularly effective at being used as Xyz material for the almighty Mortal Engine Akronos, a rank 8 Dark Xyz monster with 2600 attack and 2700 defense. You can only control one, and it gains the non-activated effects of all field spells under it. During the main phase, you can detach a material from Akronos to activate one of its 2 effects. It can either use the activated effect of the material it detaches, or it can add a Mortal Engine card from the deck to the hand. Being able to utilize an extra deck rotor is useful for any archetype, not to mention its ability to also gain effects of Mortal Engine's field spells. 2 is brilliant for the deck, as it is unlikely that we would ever summon 3 over the course of a duel, thus the extra slot opens up options for more diversity. The rest of the main deck is pretty much comprised of hand traps, consistency pieces, and the generator engine, the latter of which is composed of 1 Ha generator boss of storms, 1 Utgarda generator boss of delusion, 3 generator boss stage, and 1 generator boss fight. While the bricks of Ha and Utgarda can occasionally ruin any chance for hand being playable, the payoff is excellent. A negate and a hand rep, and a quick effect banish are invaluable assets to the deck. For consistency, the deck plays 1 terraforming, for obvious reasons, and 3 expeditioning. Expeditioning is an interesting card. You start by rolling 2 dice, then taking the higher result and excavating the same number of cards from the top of your deck. Then you apply an appropriate effect depending on how many field spells you excavated, while all cards left are shuffled into the deck. If you hit no field spells, then you have to banish a card from your hand or graveyard face down. Though this is the only bad effect. At 1 or 2 field spells, you can add those field spells to your hand. At 3 or 4, you choose 2 of those field spells, then place 1 in each field zone. And at 5 or 6, you add 1 of the excavated cards to your hand, then draw 2 cards. In order of how good these effects are, 3 to 4 is the worst effect, as you only get 1 field spell. 1 to 2 is the next best effect, whereas 5 to 6 is a rare jackpot. Still, any of these effects are pretty good. So long as you don't find 0 field spells, you should be fine. Finally, for hand traps, this list plays 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Infinite Impermanence, and 2 honorary hand traps in Solemn Strike for going first. In the extra, the list is primarily playing Xyz rank 8s to toolbox into depending on what the board demands. Number 90, Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord is a monster negate. Number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy is a spell negate. And number 23, Lancelot Dark Knight of the Underworld is an omni negate. Number 97, Draglubion plus number 100, Numeron Dragon, make up a well-known OTK combo, which can give Mortal Engines a boost in damage which can push them over the line to lethal. Number 68, Sanafont the Sky Prison, locks out the graveyards. Coach King Giant Trainer offers draw power and burn damage at the cost of a battle phase, whereas Dingirsu, Orcust of the Evening Star, offers removal and protection. Nikai, the Herald of Devastation, is a particularly nasty rank 8. She can detach a material when a card on the field is destroyed in order to protect herself from destruction by battle during the same turn, and send any monster that battles with her to the graveyard at the end of the damage step. In addition, when she's Xyz summoned, she has a pair of Dugaris-esque effects. She can either draw cards equal to the number of materials used to summon her, skipping your next draw phase, or destroy cards your opponent controls, up to the number of materials used to summon her, then skip your next main phase. Nikai is a staple of Mortal Engine boards alongside Akronos, due to her powerful draw effect on the 2-map monster, as opposed to Giant Trainer's 3 required materials, giving Mortal Engine Pilot immediate access to more resources. Aside from rank 8s, the deck plays 1 Ghost Wheel and Floating Lanterns as a special summon off of the rare Mortal Engine normal summon, which is most usually Ash. Another card the deck can make with a normal summoned Ash is Vinar Wolf, the End of Beasts, a level 11 synchro that gains attack of all levels on the field, heavy storms the field when it battles, and can negate monster effects Wolf Rayet style. For links, the deck plays Rooftop Enu as a backup Link 2 option, and Infinitrack Fortress Megaclops as a way to revive powerful Xyz monsters and remove your opponent's resources at the same time. Finally, in the side deck, the list plays matchup dependent cards, such as 3 Cosmic Cyclone against back row decks. 3 Solemn Judgment can help the deck going first, whereas Dino Wrestler Pankratops and 3 Lightning Storm can bolster it going second. Heatwave is a particularly potent card in Mortal Engine, considering how all the Mortal Engine monsters summon themselves as normal monsters. It can really help to shut down combo decks especially, though it has a relatively poor matchup against slower decks, hence why it's not being played in the main. Last of all are 2 extra field spells, Summon Breaker and Necro Valley, as stun choices that can help Mortal Engine to slow the game down to a pace it's more comfortable with. With that, let's take a look at a replay Kragon made, to emphasize the strengths of the Mortal Engine deck. So this is the replay that was sent to me by Kragon, and as we can see it's got a few messages from him in the side. This is the solo replay, and unlike most decks, there's no specific combo that needs to be performed. Instead, we're gaining advantage as the turn goes on, and in order of priority, those advantage pieces are Frigosta, Altair, and then Barrage of the Mortal Engines. Obviously, the latter of these, we can only search off Akranos. So Frigosta and Altair being the priorities really makes the deck a lot easier to function. Lower priorities, as we can see, are Nazara, Sigidra, and the Generator Engine, which is going to give us access to a lot of negates. So first off, I believe here, we're going to be activating a Mortal Engine Sigidra, and then we're going to immediately sack it off to play Mortal Engine Giadri. Sigidra's effect is going to activate, placing it into the spell trap zone, and then summoning it as a monster, as that is the only way we can summon Mortal Engines, as Dueling Book allows. Next is going to be sending the Giadri to the graveyard to play the Mortal Engine Alma, and then the effect of the Giadri is going to activate to special summon itself as a monster as well. We're then going to overlay the two and summon Mortal Engine Akranos, and then use the effect of Akranos, detaching the Sigidra so that we can set it up for later to activate the Akranos to quick effect in order to search for Mortal Engine Frigosta. Then we're going to send the Alma to the graveyard in order to play the Frigosta. As we can see, Cray has said basically what I said, that detaching the Sigidra is important so we can add it back with Altair at the end of the combo. That way we can play the Sigidra and then use the effect of Akranos on our opponent's turn. And it's not really something that we do if we have access to the Generator Field spell. And even though we will see throughout this combo tutorial that we will end with both Sigidra and the Generator Field spell. So we're going to be sending this Alma to activate the Frigosta, and then we're going to use the effect of Alma to special summon itself as a monster. Then we're going to use the effect of Frigosta in order to search for a Mortal Engine Altair, and then we're going to send the Frigosta to the graveyard in order to play the Mortal Engine Altair, and then use the effect of the Frigosta to special summon itself as a monster. Then we're going to use the effect of Altair, return the Sigidra to the hand, and then we're going to send the Altair to the graveyard in order to activate the Sigidra. Since we have access to an odd number of Mortal Engine field spells here, we're going to go into an Ultima Trainer instead of going into one of our rank 8s like Photon Lord or Hope Harbinger. So the Altair is going to get summoned here, and then we're going to overlay all 3 and summon Giant King Coach Trainer. No, Coach King Giant Trainer. Wrong way round. I always call it Ultima Trainer anyway, because that's the Xyz. That's the CXCs. This card is very funny. So we're going to be using its effect 3 times. This is one of the only cards in the game that says up to thrice per turn. Off the top, we are going to see the Assault of the Mortal Engines, which is going to give us access to the Generator portion of our deck. We're then going to see the Mortal Engine Giadri. And then finally, off the top, we are going to be able to see the Hard Generator Boss of Storms. One downside of the Generator engine is that we play a lot of bricks. We're going to be setting the Solemn Strike and the Assault of the Mortal Engines, and then that is going to be passing the turn there, with the Assault of the Mortal Engines on the opponent's turn being able to send the Sigidra to the graveyard and activate Generator Boss Stage. As Cray says in the side, post-siding, we can then incorporate Necro Valley and Summon Breaker off of the Assault of the Mortal Engines, since this card is not only a sort of Ghost Trick renovation for the archetype of Mortal Engine, but it's also basically Metaverse, as it can activate any field spell from your deck, not just a Mortal Engine one. Next, we're just going to see a match between Mortal Engines and something else. I'm not sure what it is yet. Now we're going to take a look at a match between Mortal Engines and Pacifists. Oh, there goes all of the monster destruction in Giadri. Absolutely useless, and Nibiru the Primal Being is going to rot in our hand for all of eternity. We have managed to win the die roll, so we are going to be going first, and we're going to start with activating Terraforming in order to get a Mortal Engines Frigosta from deck to hand. This is the most important field spell for us to find. Next, we're going to activate Frigosta and use its effect in order to search for you know what? Let's get Altair. Altair seems pretty good here. We're going to destroy the Frigosta in order to play the Mortal Engine's Alma, and then we're going to activate the effect of Frigosta and special summon it. We're going to be waiting for a response from our opponent every single turn here, despite the fact that they have drawn no hand traps. We also see that they have 2 pacifists. That's nice. That's not very nice. Alma is going to go to Graveyard, and we're going to activate Nazara, and then we're going to use the effect of Alma to special summon itself as a monster. And then we're going to overlay the Frigosta and the Alma in order to summon a copy of Mortal Engine Archronos. Archronos is going to use its effect, and we're going to detach the Frigosta so that we can add it back to hand with the Alter later. We're going to add from the deck to the hand the Barrage of the Mortal Engines. Here, Sigidra really isn't that much of a priority, and since we already have Frigosta and Alter both in rotation, being able to add the Barrage here is just going to get us some more advantage. We're going to immediately activate the Barrage here and destroy the Mortal Engine Nazara in order to draw 2 cards, and we're going to get a Geardry and an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, this Geardry is going to be really useless until next turn, but it's against pacifists, so it's not going to be useful at all. We're going to use the effect in the Graveyard of Nazara and special summon it as a monster, and then we're going to activate the Alter and use its effect to add the Frigosta back to the hand, and then finally we're going to destroy that Alter in order to activate the Generator boss stage that we have hard drawn. This is why we play 3, baby. Getting that boss stage is so sweet. Then the Alter is going to activate when destroyed and sent to the graveyard, and we're going to summon it, and we're going to summon it as a monster, and then we're going to overlay the 2 of them in order to EXU summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, anticipating that Nightmare might be on a monster deck. Oh, how wrong we are. Of course, if I knew what Nightmare was playing, I would have overlaid into Hope Harbinger there. But I don't. That's what makes this fun. We're going to end the turn. Nightmare's going to start the turn. They're going to draw, and then the effect of the Generator boss stage is going to activate in order to special summon the Ha, Generator Boss of Storms from the deck. And as soon as Ha is summoned, obviously, we're going to special summon 2 Generator tokens, and Nightmare is going to take it straight into the main phase. Now, you might see some non-TCG cards in Nightmare's hand, and that is because Nightmare is playing a combination of Pacifists and generic Worm support alongside Draken, which is another really interesting archetype on the server based around Worm normal monsters, which means that stuff like Drakincarnation, which is essentially a rotor for the deck, and Drakincapacitation is literally Sword Soul Blackout, but on another card. No, it's direct monster removal, but the deck does have another Blackout. Draken is really good with pacifists, and this replay will show it as much as it can. Immediately the pacifist is going to be activated, and the Photon Lord is going to be immediately realized as utterly useless, and they're going to activate Drakincarnation in order to add from the deck to the hand another copy of Drakincapacitation. As of course it is a targeted destruction, and it is completely useful. Immediately to the adding of this, we're going to activate the effect of Ha, Generator Boss of Storms. When a card is added from the deck to the hand, we get to make Knight send a monster from their hand to the graveyard. Knight doesn't have a monster in their hand. That's fine. They're going to chain Pacifist the Phantasm City, and then we're going to chain the effect of Ha in order to pop the 2 tokens and pop the Pacifist, hoping that Knight doesn't have another one. But they do have another one. They're going to send the Drakincapacitation to the graveyard here, not knowing that Ha does actually have to send a monster. It's not that good. And they're going to tell me that they have no applicable cards, so joy of joys. They're going to reactivate the Pacifist, the Phantasm City, set 4 and pass the turn. I'm going to draw into Mortal Engine Frigosta, which is, you know, it's fine. Going into main 1, we're going to first of all activate the Archronos effect, detaching the Alma in order to search for a Mortal Engine field spell. Immediately, this Phantasm City is going to activate to special summon a token, which is going to be just delightful. Knight is immediately going to go into the deck, assuming that the search will be fine, not remembering that Pacifist does actually summon a token first. And then it's on the token effect, it's on the token summon that the Pacifist will actually search. But not after Archronos resolves. We're going to search for Nazara in order to pop this Pacifist Phantasm City. And then on the token summon, the Pacifist effect is going to activate, which I'm going to Ash Blossom. I figure that Nightmare probably doesn't have much quick effect searching, apart from on Pacifist, and being able to Ash this is going to be particularly useful. We're going to send this boss stage to the graveyard to activate Nazara, and then we're going to use the effect of Nazara to target... Well, not to target, because Nazara doesn't target. We're going to activate Nazara in order to destroy a spell trap on the field, and chaining to this is going to be a Drac Incapacitation, which is going to, since I control at least 2 monsters, and Knight controls only a worm monster, the face-up monster on the field with the highest attack will be destroyed, which will be the Ha generated boss of Storms. Ha is going to go to the graveyard, as will the Pacifist, which makes sense. Then we're going to send to the graveyard the Nazara in order to activate the Phrygosta, and then we're going to use the effect of Nazara in order to special summon it. On resolution of Nazara's summon is going to be the activation of the second Drac Incapacitation, alongside the activation of the Sword Soul Blackout, which is going to be targeting both the token and the Mortal Engine Nazara, and the number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. What a bunch of fun that is. All of my monsters are getting absolutely popped, but I think we can still make something work here. We're going to use the effect of Mortal Engine's Nazara in order to search for a Mortal Engine card from the deck to the hand, and I think we're probably going to add Altair here. Yes, Altair is definitely going to be the search. Then we're going to be sending this Phrygosta to the graveyard and activating the Mortal Engine Altair, then activate the effect of Phrygosta in the graveyard to summon itself as a monster. Remember, the only monster we summoned the only Mortal Engines monster we've summoned this turn is the Mortal Engine Nazara, which means that we do have access to 5 of our Mortal Engines. We're going to use the effect of Altair here in order to add back the Alma, because Alma can shuffle 3 Mortal Engines into the deck and get us a draw. And as we know, I have the most godly top decks of all in this generation. The effect of Altair is going to activate here, not Alma yet. Altair is going to summon itself as a monster, and then Alma's effect is going to activate in order to shuffle back the, I believe it's the Akranos, the Nazara, and the Altair. Yep, those are all going to get shuffled back, and we're going to draw into a barrage of the Mortal Engines. What's better than 1 top deck when you can have 3? Barrage is going to target and destroy Alma, and then we are going to draw 2 cards from the deck, Solemn Strike and Generate a Boss Stage, both of which are pretty much useless at this juncture. We're going to declare the effect of Alma, and we're going to summon Barrage of the Mortal Engines. Okay, misclick. Let's get that out of here. We're going to instead summon the Alma, as it should be. We're going to activate the Geodry, and the boss stage actually makes some use here. In case this isn't lethal, we're going to activate the boss stage for a follow-up on the next turn, and then the Geodry is going to activate in the graveyard, special summoning itself as a monster, and then we're going to go to the battle phase. Because these can still attack while I control any field spell, not just a Mortal Engines one. Up comes the Stealth Attack, which does nothing. And that's going to be the game. Overall, I think the Mortal Engine is an incredibly robust deck. The high attack stats of the monsters is certainly a point that appeals to me, and the ability to summon funny cards like Giant Trainer is always a plus. The speed at which I was able to assemble a board was fantastic for a deck that has such good effects on top of that, as Spell Trap Destruction certainly saved me in that duel from falling to a grim fate of Phantasm Spiral. And that's it for today's Archetype Spotlight. Please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, tell us what you thought down in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more content. Remember to turn on the notification bell as well, so you won't miss a single upload. There is a link in the description to join our Discord server, where you too can explore the vast array of cards we have to offer, play competitively or casually, and chat with other custom card creators around the world. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.